Alright, hey guys. I had a few requests to do some more polyevolver tutorials, specifically one about the sequencer, and I'm going to start trying to do these more often, especially now that I kind of have the recording situation figured out, rather than doing like a top-down shot of the actual keyboard. I'm using Sound Tower's Evolver Plug SE, which runs as a VST and essentially runs through Ableton Live and controls the polyevolver from a VST format, which is good because then you can see it very clearly. My hands aren't getting in the way and that sort of thing. So while it won't look exactly like you see it on your polyevolver keyboard, once you get used to kind of figuring out where things are on the Evolver SE, it'll make it a lot easier for you to kind of to tune your keyboard into the same settings I've got. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remake this patch called Sanity Check. It's just a quick little demonstration of the sequencer controlling the oscillator frequencies. And the sequencer has a lot of different options as far as routing at various places, controlling different things. We can get really in depth with that in other videos. This one is just going to show how you can control the kind of most basic function of the sequencer, which is controlling the oscillators so you can get some noise out of it. So here's the patch. I'm going to go ahead and hit play here. And you can see here that this is why I love the Evolver Plug VST, is because it makes the sequencer editing a lot easier. Using the pan pots on the sequencer is a little tedious, and so being able to see it and use your mouse for all the different sequences is much faster, and you can switch back and forth between the sequencer and the program here. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up a initialized program. So we've got nothing here. And for whatever reason, my polyevolver is doing this weird thing that I haven't figured out yet, but I don't have, as you can see, the sequencer routed anywhere. But for whatever reason, when I hit play, it still is playing MIDI notes back based on the sequencer. So not sure what's going on there, but we're going to ignore it for right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just dial in. I've got all the settings off here on the left for Sanity Check, and I'm going to go ahead and dial those in. Let's see, the oscillator 1 frequency is there. I think I had it, detuned to 1, -1, sorry. This was the same. This was also the same, just a minor detuning here. Levels are up at 100. And then, let's see, what is that? R5 and R33. So let's go to R5. Drag this up to R33. I think these were kind of just arbitrarily chosen based on the tonal characters that they were giving me. This is at 65. Let me zoom in here. 65 and 63. Also is really nice to not have to be hunched over my keyboard. I can sit here and edit things. All right, and what do we have? Noise. Noise is at about 9. And let's see, where is our low pass filter? All the way up. Resonance is at 19. Envelope amount 0. Attack was up at 59. We'll see how close we can get to this actually recreating the patch. Decay's at 64. And see, this is my only gripe, is you go back and forth. The resolution of these knobs is not super great, so trying to get it right on the dot is a little difficult. So sometimes we might just try to get close. Sustain at 0, release at 24. Audio mod and LR split are at 0. Okay, over to the amp. All this was pretty much the same, 40, 40, 20, yep. And then, let's see what else is different here. Oh, we did a lot of work with the LFOs and a little bit with the modulators. Okay, so LFO1, sorry, was set to triangle. Oh, okay, we didn't use that one. LFO2, triangle, oscillator 1, pulse width. There we go. Let's bring that down to 43, and you can pause this video as you make the adjustments on your keyboard. The amount was all the way up. This was set to oscillator 2 pulse width, and at 61, and amount's 100. LFO4. Let's see what this has done so far. Okay, yeah, so it's giving us a little bit of movement here in between each key that's pressed, which is nice. LFO4 is set to oscillator all level. And that's going to give us a little bit of up and down movement, some variation. This is what S104. Come on. There we go. You can hear a little bit of a variation in the level there. All right, and what do we have here? Modulators are LFO1. I've got that routed to envelope 2 attack. Where is that here? Envelope 2 attack. Okay, and got that turned up to about 22. So that's going to be adjusting based on LFO1 here, is going to be adjusting, what is envelope 2? So envelope 3 is very clearly labeled. LFO1, or sorry, envelope 1, I believe, is the filter attack, and amp envelope is, envelope 2, I believe, is the envelope in the low pass filter, and I think envelope 3, no, oh god, I'm getting confused here. Envelope 1 is low pass filter envelope. Envelope 2 is the amp amount filter attack here. So, all right, and what else? I think that's pretty much it. Oh no, I had these turned up. I don't know if this is actually doing anything though, but I'm going to go ahead and set it exactly the same. We had the frequency on the feedback to 24. Come on. There we go. And turned on the grunge. The tuned feedback is really nice. It creates, you can get you can get some feedback of the signal going, if you follow the arrow here, it goes back, the signal goes back through the low pass and then kind of swims around like that. And when you turn the level up and you dial in the feedback frequency of this section here, you can get some tuning going on. So the lower the frequency, you can, and what's nice is you can find the key of whatever sound it is that you're making to kind of accentuate that, or you can do it, a 5th up or a 7th up and get some nice kind of stuff going on there. Let's see. I think I had the distortion up to 5, and I use the distortion. The distortion gets really unruly quickly, but I use the distortion in small amounts just to boost the overall volume, honestly. It doesn't add too much distortion, which is nice. All right, and so where are we at now? Okay. And then let's hear it without the feedback. Yeah, that adds a nice little bit of a grit there. And then if you turn the grunge off, again, these are subtle differences, but they really do make a big difference in the end. So now the delay, let's go ahead and put that up to 57 or close, whatever. Trying to dial these things in perfectly is annoying. 85, close enough. And then amount 2 is 45. And okay, here we are, 72. And that was it for that. Output hack is up to 6, not too much. Cool. And now on to the nitty-gritty. As far as what the tutorial is based on, which is the sequencer. So you have all these sequencer destinations here. Of course, you have your tempo, and I think I had mine at 120. Yep. And then you've got your clock divide, and so this is, you know, half note, quarter note, eighth note, halves, eighth note wholes. These are kind of cryptic, subdivisions. But they, they adjust how quickly the sequencer notes are going to play. So we're going to go ahead and map all of these to the frequency. So let's do oscillator 1 frequency, oscillator 2 frequency, oscillator 3 frequency, and oscillator 4 frequency. And let's hear what that's given us so far. If you're on your keyboard, you can hit play on the sequencer mode. It doesn't have it here, so but I've got it synced to Ableton Live, so I'm just going to hit play on Ableton Live. There we go. So it's giving us our sound here, our patch that we've made without much movement. It's just going straight across C0 for all of them. So now I'm going to dial in the sequencer, and I think I'm probably going to fast forward through this bit in the video because it is going to take me a little while, but I will pause it so that if you guys want to recreate it so you have it 100%, you can see that. But anyway, here we go. All right, whew, here we go. Takes a while, but shockingly enough, not as long as actually doing it on the sequencer for all 4 sequences. To the Sound Tower guys who made Plug SE for the Evolver series of keyboards, this thing is great, but if you could maybe put in an option like to hold Control or Alt, so when you're dialing these in with the mouse, it gives you like a finer adjustment, because I spent 30 seconds here sometimes for each one, going between 28 and 30 and 28 and 30, just trying to get to 29 or whatever. So, but whatever, it's okay. So assuming that all of this is right, we should have more or less the same patch as the one I made before. So let's give it a listen here. Cool, pretty spot on. And again, so now the sequencer, the first line of the sequencer here is controlling the frequency dial here on oscillator 1, and as it goes, oscillator 2, oscillator 3, oscillator 4. And so what you can do is you can get some really cool effects by giving each one a different melody sequence through. So you could do harmonies with the melodies and that sort of thing. And then of course all of these different options here. I mean, you can really get wild with the sequencer. you can have it control the frequency of all the oscillators, all of the levels, noise level, pulse width, and then it really gets deep as far as using it to control FM and RM and all this stuff. I mean, it's you could do endless tutorials just on different ways to use the sequencer here. So anyway, I hope that this sheds some light on using the sequencer in the Evolver for you guys. And really the best way to do it is, to learn is just to fiddle around. And there's not quite as much documentation as I would like to see on the Evolver series keyboards. It's a kind of an older series that is obviously no longer made anymore. And so I'm going to try to do my best to learn this thing inside and out. I already know it pretty well, but I want to master it. And then of course just keep doing these tutorials so that there can be more kind of stuff to learn from online. So anyway, thanks for hanging in there with me, and I will see you guys in the next one. If you have anything specifically that you'd like to see, let me know, and I'll try to study it a little bit and make a tutorial. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you can see more of these coming up. Thanks. See you guys. Bye.